Okay, then I'm predicting the Chicago's Bear record predictions. So looking at their roster is pretty similar to last year, but they did make improvements, especially on the offense. They brought in Keenan Allen, they drafted Roma Dunze, they brought in DeAndre Swift, and their offense looks good. Their offensive line was pretty not great last year, but maybe that was just Justin Fields. They bring in pretty much the same line from last year, so I'm banking on improvement there. But to me, for their offense, it's coming down to Caleb Williams, and I can't say for sure that Caleb Williams is going to be better than Justin Fields was last year. And I know that's hard to hear, but Justin Fields was not horrible last year, and Caleb Williams very well might do worse than Justin Fields last year. And on their defense looks solid. The defense played well late last year. Off defensive line is still slightly concerning. Other than Montez Sweat, they don't really have a ton of others um, star pieces on the defensive line. Their linebackers are solid with Edwards and Edmonds. Their secondary should be fine as long as Kevin Byard like does rebounds a little bit, but they still have Jalen Johnson, and their nickel cornerback is still decent. So we have your first game versus the Tennessee Titans. This one I think is an interesting game. Both these teams have very young quarterbacks. Will Levis for the Titans and obviously Caleb Williams. However, I think the Titans having a brand new coach, their defense is getting a little bit older and shed a couple of pieces like Byard. I think the Bears, with their more talented defense and their better skill position players, will get the win here. So I'm taking the Bears. Then you have Week 2 versus the Texans. Texans to me are like a step ahead of the Bears right now. Their team offense is more talented than the Bears. Their quarterback is C.J. Stroud, which is better than Caleb. And I think with the Miko Ryans, that Texans defense won't be that bad. I gotta take the Texans, especially with home field advantage right now. They're just a better team. And then you have week 3 versus the Colts. I think this one could be a sneaky good game. Could be a coming out game for Caleb. The Colts defense is not that good. And I think the Bears defense isn't bad, but I like Anthony Richardson. I think his athletic ability will get the better of the Bears defense a little bit. So I'm gonna take the Colts here, especially with home field advantage as well. Then you have them versus the Rams. Um, this game, I like the Rams a lot. Also, I think the Rams offense is really good, and I think will stress out that Bears defense, even with that Bears big home field advantage. I think that Rams defense will get the job done. I think Sean McVay will be too much for Matt Eberflus. I think the Rams are gonna outcoach the Bears here, so I'm taking the Rams. You have Week 5 versus the Panthers. To me, the Bears are a step ahead of the Panthers in this scenario. Panthers, they did bring in some better pieces like Deontay Johnson. Their Panthers defense has is kind of in a reset mode ever since they traded away Brian Burns. And I think that will be well for Caleb Williams and that Bears offense. I think the Panthers defense isn't going to be that good, and I'm going to take the Bears here. I think they're just a better team. Then you have them versus the Jaguars. This one is another very, very good game. Jaguars, even though they are contenders, they're not the most talented team. Doug Peterson's a good coach. Trevor Lawrence is a good-ish quarterback, but Jaguars, their defense isn't bad, but they are lacking a little bit of talent. As long as the Bears, I think, offensive line can handle Josh Allen, I think those skill position players can handle that Jaguars defense. And I think the Bears defense is better than the Jags offense, so I'm going to take the Bears here. Like also with big home field advantage. Then you have them versus the Commanders. I just don't think Commanders are ready yet. The Commanders defense to me is still completely like horrible. That Bears offense should roll straight past that Commanders defense, and that Commanders offensive line is also really bad. Montez Sweat should cause mayhem for Jaden Daniels, so I think that Caleb Williams, the Bears will beat the Commanders, especially the Bears coming off a bye. Then you have Week 9 versus the Cardinals. This is a kind of a classic trap game for the Bears. The Cardinals, um, they're not the most talented team, but they do have their core players that can do very well, especially on offense with Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray, James Conner. They can all explode at any given time. And I think with Cardinals home field advantage and that Bears on a 3-win streak, I think the Bears are gonna fall into that trap. I think the Bears defense be will be underprepared against that Cardinals offense, which I think won't be that bad. So I'm gonna take the Cardinals here. Then you have Week 10 versus the Patriots. That Patriots defense is sneakily good. Patriots defense, even with Bill Belichick gone, they should be really good. I could see Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams really struggling this game, but Patriots offense is not going to do well versus that Bears defense. Those Bears linebackers, I think, will cause havoc for Drake May at this point. So I'm going to take the Bears here. Then you have Week 11 versus the Packers. Packers are coming off a bye. The Packers usually dominate the Bears pretty good, and I think the Packers are on their way up. I think they're still more talented. Packers are a very young team. Jordan Love, I think, will outduel Caleb Williams, so I'm taking the Packers here. You have Week 12 versus Minnesota. If you saw my last Minnesota Vikings prediction video, you know that I'm not a fan of the Vikings at all. I think that Bears defense will cause problems for either Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy. And as long as Caleb Williams deals with that blitz, I think the Bears will be able to win. So I'm taking the Bears here. Then you have Week 13 versus the Lions. This is a divisional game. Lions are Super Bowl contenders. They're way more talented than the Bears, and the Lions have big home field advantage on a Thursday night. I'm gonna take the Lions here. Then you have Week 14 versus the Niners. Similarly, Niners are another Super Bowl contender. I think their defense with Fred Warner, Nick Bosa will cause problems for that Bears offense. Now Niners offense is very good as well. I gotta take the I'm gonna take the Niners here. Then you have them versus the Vikings. Vikings. Like I'm not a huge fan of the Vikings, but they do play the Bears tough, and I do think that the Vikings will steal a game from the Bears here. So I'm gonna take the Vikings on prime time. Then you have Week 16 versus the Lions. Similarly, the Lions last year didn't play exactly well versus the Bears either. They are a more talented team. They are Super Bowl contenders, but I think the Bears, this late in the season, they should be situated. I'm gonna take the Bears here, upsetting the Lions. Week 17 versus the Seahawks. Bears will have a huge home field advantage in this game. There's a short week. The Seahawks are really far away. It's going to be cold in Chicago. That explosive offense of Seahawks, I think will be shut down by that Bears defense. So I'm taking the Bears here. And then Week 18 versus the Packers. I do think that the Bears will split with the Packers. I think the Bears have the talent to do it, so I'm taking the Bears here. So in the end, the Bears going 9-8, 3-2 in division, 7-2 at home, and 2-6 away.